Welcome to Just Curious Media. This is Let's Talk Cobra Kai, and I'm Jason Connell.
I'm Sal Rodriguez.
All right, Sal, we are back with another episode, and I know you're super excited over there.
Well, I'm always excited to be back for Let's Talk Cobra Kai. I mean, I love our other shows. I do.
Yeah, I know.
But Let's Talk Cobra Kai it gets in the feels. OG in the feels. It's what really it started it all for Just Curious Media, really.
It sure did. Let's go back in the Wayback Machine.
Yeah, let's do a retcon.
That word will be coming up in this episode.
That's right.
But
I just learned a new word today.
I just learned a new word. So this episode, which is entitled 10 Lessons from Cobra Kai, we're going to be educating ourselves and others today, came about because I read an article that deals with this very thing. Like, we're taking the 10 points from that article. They called the article something different, and we're going to give a shout out to the writer and the publication. But it also harkens back to episode 74 from us, Let's Talk Cobra Kai, when we did 3 lessons from the Karate Kid Part 3. And Sal, you said there was no lessons to be learned in that movie. And I'm just kidding. You did not say that.
Well, one lesson I absolutely learned from Karate Kid 3 is that when you hit some sort of apparatus in the gym, you punch it.
Oh, yes.
It should not be made of wood and metal.
Yeah, bloody knuckles.
Yeah.
It will happen.
Should be
sure.
soft. Much softer.
I learned that... Well, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole with All Valley. I'll just let it be. But that's a fun episode.
No.
I highly recommend people check it out. And there are lessons to be learned from that movie. It's a fantastic film. Not as good as the first 2 Karate
You
Kids.
always say that every time.
It's not. I got to put the disclaimer there. But I love it more than I used to, and it's going to come into play in this episode. So, And we recorded that, just so you know, October 20th, 2021. Sal, it feels like just yesterday. And it's coming up on 2 years. So how crazy. No, it's beyond 2 years. This is what they had right underneath their title. Cobra Kai has succeeded where other TV and movie reboots have failed, and this all comes down to a few features and plot details the series nailed. Okay, so this comes from Screen Rant. It came out October 18th, 2023 from...
Angel Shaw. And some of us may find that name familiar because we have covered another article about Cobra Kai written by Angel Shaw. So I believe at this time
contributor of the show.
Well, yeah, fan of the show, Angel, but not AI.
Not AI.
Not AI. And I believe Angel Shaw is a real person writing great articles about Cobra Kai.
It's funny, Sal. You have your AI radar is always out looking, scanning.
I do. I do.
Is that AI? I don't know. And if it is or isn't, what happens? Are you mad if it is? Are you? I'm assuming that's what's going on. Not embracing AI because people are losing jobs.
Yes, I do have an antenna up for AI because unfortunately I've realized. Let me back up a little bit. I have done voiceover work. I have done professional narration.
You do podcast.
I do professional podcasting, folks. And you know what? There's a lot of voice work being taken by AI. So unfortunately, I have my antenna up, and I have read articles that I think could have been written by AI. And I especially have read articles about Cobra Kai where I at least thought, was this AI, or does this person even watch the show? So I'm happy to talk about an Angel Shaw article.
There you go. Well, let's jump in. We have 10 points, quite a few. We won't spend too much time on them. Some of them are kind of the same, but they're fun. We'll ping pong back and forth. We'll say the point in reverse order, David Letterman, top 10 style.
Yep.
And we'll just have a discussion. It'll be fun.
Yeah, sounds good.
I know you're excited, so I can tell.
I am. Jason, I forgot to tell you that I brought along Johnny Lawrence skeleton. I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you. So I'm telling you now. We have kind of overlooked this particular figure. He just hasn't come on our radar. We've covered other collectibles, but I brought the Halloween Dance Johnny Lawrence skeleton outfit for you to see today.
Wow.
There he is.
That's incredible.
And he has a Walkman too. There he is.
He has a Walkman. And does he have a joint that he's rolling?
He didn't come with a joint, which was disappointing, but I'm going to steal a joint from my Cheech and Chong action figures and let him have it.
And I have to say that he's a lot tougher when he had all of his little Cobra Kai flunkies with him, too. He's not quite so tough by himself in the skeleton outfit. So I grew to love Johnny, but at that point in time, he was like punk Johnny.
Well, wasn't he trying to turn over a new leaf, right, at that time?
He was. And then bringing it around, then Daniel stirs the pot and pours water.
right.
That's true. It's a Daniel problem. My fault. Sorry,
DaniellaRusso.
Johnny. Okay, here we go. Number 10. Cobra Kai used the Karate Kid's formula with a unique twist. And I do agree with that point, Sal, because I believe they're alluding to the fact that in the original, you have Mr. Miyagi training Daniel-san.
Yep.
Right? And it would have been easy to come back and Daniel's now Miyagi.
Sure.
And he kind of is, but you know what I mean? The story's just about him training either his kids or someone else. But no, they went a different way. We resurrected Johnny, and he's training young Miguel. And it's like a formula we know, but a new slant. And I do love that. Of course, I think it's part of what makes the show so great.
Well, Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, but when Cobra Kai started, very beginning, season 1, especially the first episode, Ace Degenerate, neither Daniel nor Johnny were involved in karate, right?
Yeah, not at that time.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know what Daniel was doing because he had the home dojo, but it was, run over with stuff.
Yeah,
so,
he had storage in there. And
yeah, I wouldn't say he was practicing.
No. He was wrapped up in LaRusso Auto.
LaRusso Auto, yeah. And raising a family. So good point there, Sal. Go ahead.
Number 9, Cobra Kai follows predominantly new characters. I think you'd have to, though. I mean, no more Patmorita, rest in peace.
Right.
Of course, we haven't seen some of the old characters brought back. That's why there are more new characters, because some of the old characters that we'd love to see have still not been brought back, such as Freddy Fernandez, such as Daryl Vidal.
Yeah, classics. These are things for the OG us. We were watching The Karate Kid as kids. I think it had to go younger. Karate Kid's a much older movie, and that was another part of the genius. Had this show come out 10 years after the last movie, we're talking about something completely different. We're so many generations later. It's like, hey, this is great. We didn't just bring new characters. We follow these characters. Hawk, Dimitri, Sam, Robbie. Like, we have fallen in love with new characters with our anchors around them. And yes, then sprinkling in the people that we love, the Alleys and Chosens and such. So it's really a beautiful blend, but it had to be done that way.
Well, Jason, it's very important to me. I've realized this recently. It's very important to me that I care about the characters in a movie, in a show.
You're just realizing this?
I really am just realizing that, because sometimes, I'll tell you why, because sometimes I may watch something and realize I didn't like it. Sal, why didn't you like it? Because you didn't care about anybody. That's why.
Yeah.
It's very basic, but it really has become apparent recently. Yes, I love and care about the people in Cobra Kai. I want them to be okay. Even Kyler, I want him to be okay. I don't want anything, horrible to happen to him. Even the bad guys, I want to be okay because I care about all of them.
That's good. Well, I come from a documentary background, and when you make a documentary, they're real people you're following, and you tend to care about the people, your subject matters.
Sure.
And so, yeah, I already have this ingrained in me and my love for cinema, but I'm glad that you're on board now. I would also say this really behooves you because new characters for a toy collector, better for the marketplace, better for your collection.
Yeah.
So
it's a
win-win.
Though, Jason, I'll have to say I was disappointed in the recent Hasbro Miguel and Hasbro Sam as part of the Power Rangers and Cobra Kai mashup. I passed on those two figures. I don't think that they did either Sam or Miguel justice. Yeah,
that's a weird mashup. That doesn't even count. So, all right, number 8. Cobra Kai doesn't take itself too seriously. So true.
Yeah, a lot of comedy.
They have fun with it.
A lot of humor.
A lot of comedy. I mean, it's much more silly than the movies. The movies, the original, go back and watch it. It's not a silly movie. It's a heartfelt underdog story, coming of age, father-son kind of relationship, bullied, and then it becomes a champ. It's anything but silly. But the show, it's different. It's a 30-minute show. It has, for the most part, you know what I mean, like half hour isn't the long form, except for a special maybe season finale. But it's lighter. There are some heavy moments, but it doesn't take itself too seriously. I mean, it has Johnny going on advertisements and changing the internet and changing the release date. It's playful, and it lets us in.
Jason, I thought you were going to say Johnny goes onto a billboard and draws something. That's what.
Well, there you go. He does that too. Johnny will stop at nothing to be a little silly.
But I will
chosen. Go on.
I will say that yes, Karate Kid I don't think did take itself more seriously, and the only
Yes.
comedic element I believe in the original Karate Kid was the shower Halloween costume, right? That was probably the only comedic element of the movie.
I mean, I don't know. I'd have to think about this more. I don't even know how comedic that was. It was really an amazing costume.
It was
And
a good costume.
Here's a guy that wants to be around a bunch of people but doesn't want to be seen.
Yeah.
So I
Quite
think
clever.
it was on point
Yeah.
and very clever. So, yeah, there are moments, when Daniel's talking to himself, as we discussed on the recent audio description version, as I listened to the Karate Kid of the audio description feature, I was like, oh, yeah, he's talking to himself a lot. Like, oh, man,
Yes.
she's really hot. And
Yes,
like
it's
that
true.
was kind of silly, but it was more character.
No,
and
I
he
like
was
that.
finding his character. So
I like that. As an actor, I think you would call that a device.
Yeah,
And
it was a device.
and I like it. I do like it.
All right, Sal, you're up.
Number 7, Cobra Kai shifted to Johnny's villain perspective. Yeah,
Yes.
whole nother angle. Jason, I'm reminded of this when I had dinner with my father. We didn't speak for years, and we had dinner.
Yeah.
And I saw a side of my parents that I never saw because it was my dad's
Yep.
side. I had
Right.
only heard my mother's side. Now I get to hear my dad's side, and it was incredibly enlightening and revealing. Very happy I did it. And yeah, very similarly, we get to see the world from Johnny's perspective.
Yeah, we ended the Karate Kid, and he's barely in the sequel in the very beginning, which was really written in the first movie, and they put it in the second. And that was smart. It was well done. But, you love to hate him. And then he popped up in other movies, like Just One of the Guys and Back to School, playing kind of a version of Johnny Lawrence.
Sure.
Like, my God, because he just looked the part. All-American kid, but he was more of the prick. He had all the friends who were more followers. He just nailed that role. He embodied it, which probably didn't help him, Williamzabka, in real life for a while, because he's like, I'm not that guy. He's like super sweet, but
Yeah, exactly.
he's been
Very nice
typecast.
guy, but typecast as a bad guy. Typecast as
but
a bully, typecast as a prick, yeah.
Yeah, and that was it. He's always that guy. This redefined his character and him as an actor.
Yeah.
And yes, we're falling in love with him right out of the gate. That first episode, when I put in Ace Degenerate, I put in like I had a VCR, a laser disc. No, I put it on
Just the
YouTube.
tracking.
Hang on a second, this thing. No, I was blown away. I thought, oh my God, I always wanted to like this guy more, and now I can. I can get behind this guy. I already care about Daniel, and we know he's coming. When you're early in the series. So yeah, it was brilliant. They didn't have to do this, and it wouldn't have been as successful, but they had the foresight to do it and give us Johnny, so we cared. Back to your point, and it worked.
Jason, I think you especially cared for Johnny because you
'Cause my
have
looks.
you have
When I grow the hair out.
well
yeah.
that too. When I first met you, you had the Johnny Lawrence hairstyle, but you have told me that you dressed as Johnny Lawrence for Halloween before Cobra
2
Kai.
times.
Twice?
Oh yeah, well, yeah, 2 times.
Wow, nice.
Well, I brought the same outfit back into play. Like it was like 3 years apart. And I was like, hey, and no one was talking about the movie then. In fact, during that window when I did it, I believe the remake came out. But that had nothing to do with Johnny Lawrence
Sure.
and Daniellarusso. But it was like that's the only Karate Kid they were talking about. It wasn't 84's Karate Kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, good point. Thank you. All right, number 6. Cobra Kai paid homage to the 1980s without making fun of it.
Mm-hmm.
Very true. It does pay homage, from the music that Johnny plays to the cars he drives. And yeah, we just love it, man. I mean, especially us in our age, older, and probably a little younger. And then there's probably a whole new generation of people who are growing up going, 80s are cool. Like when I was growing up saying, oh, the 60s are amazing, my parents' generation. So there is that too, but they don't make fun of it. They don't overdo it. Right? They're not, every episode isn't like, hey, where's my Walkman? They're not doing that. They just do it respectfully and just enough.
Well, one of my favorite tips of the hat to the 80s era in Cobra Kai was at the roller skating rink. Remember when?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
When who was dressed as Don Johnson?
Robbie,
yes. And then Samantha was dressed as Molly Ringwald.
Molly Ringwald.
Yeah, so I
Pretty
do
in
love
pink.
those tips of the hat, those shout outs to yesteryear.
Absolutely. All right, Sal, take it away.
Number 5, Cobra Kai allowed Daniel and Johnny to have changed since the Karate Kid.
I'll say.
Yeah, I like change. I do. I like when people change for the better. One thing I love about Cobra Kai is redemption. People can change. Well, you have bad people can become good and good people can become bad. But the point is, people can indeed change, because I'm usually running around thinking people don't change.
Our bad people get worse.
That's true.
As far as Terry Silver's concerned.
More evil.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. These guys changed. I mean, we left the Karate Kid. Daniel's champ. Johnny comes over and gives him the trophy. So maybe they went on and had a friendship. We don't know. Like, we didn't see that change because the next movie only had the beginning on the exit of All Valley, and Kreese tries to kill all of his students, and Mr. Miyagi saves the day.
Yeah.
And then we don't really see those Cobra Kais anymore. But yeah, I mean, what a huge change. Daniel's now grown up. He's had some success. He earned success. He's had a lot of failure. He had a rough beginning, losing a father young. That's already a super disadvantage. And now he's having success, and his name's on billboards, and he's using his, his two-time All Valley championship to leverage that into becoming a local icon. And then Johnny goes the other way. We're led to believe that after that loss, after he hands the trophy to Daniel, he really just was never the same in life. Maybe after he was choked out.
Because it seems
it was like that's his new father figure, and he tried to kill him.
Yeah, I mean,
and I get it,
He accepted defeat. He congratulated his opponent. So he was okay at that moment in time until maybe 20 minutes later?
20 minutes later, yeah. What's he say when he gives Daniel the trophy?
You're right, LaRusso.
That's a great moment. And Freddie Fernandez is like trying to move in there.
Trying to get a photo bomb.
Yeah, can you sign this, Daniel? So really huge change. And not just them. The show's been around long enough to see Robbie change, Miguel change, Sam change. Anthony's growing up before our very eyes. Change is happening.
Robbie's mother change.
Big time. His mother is awesome. She's got clean, and she's on the right path. Johnny's clean. So just fantastic, great point. Okay, number 4, the Karate Kid story is enhanced by Cobra Kai. Sal, this one is a huge point, and I couldn't agree more, but I especially say the Karate Kid Part 3 is enhanced.
To me, I use the phrase...
resurrected it.
Well, I use the phrase, justified? Redeemed?
Okay. Yeah, redeemed.
Those are the words that I use when I think about it.
I was going to use those little, hang on, clear. We're bringing Karate Kid 3 back to life. It brought it back to life. In fact, when we started this campaign, this journey together with Let's Talk Cobra Kai, I even told you, I believe in an episode, just watch the first Karate Kid, watch the second. No need to watch Part 3, right? And then we finished season 1 and think we were into season 2, and I put it back on thinking, well, why not? And I was blown away immediately. Like, oh no, they're using 3 because this is early. And I even told you got to see it. I look at it with a new lens now. I can see the bad, but there's so much to take away. And I think this show has definitely brought those characters back. It's enhanced them all, and it's given the legacy just another, more momentum. So yeah, of course, it's massive.
I also think, Jason, how lucky the showrunners are that what is it? Thomas Ian Griffith, right? The Thomas Ian Griffith,
Terry Silver.
Yes, that he's around to be able to step into the role. Because what if they had to get someone else? They probably wouldn't have done it. They probably wouldn't have had Terry Silver come back if he was played by another actor. So how lucky.
What about Chosen?
Chosen also. Hello.
Come,
Yeah. Lucky that they're around and alive and still acting. Right?
What if they brought Allie back and it wasn't Allie? It wasn't Elizabeth Shue.
Hello? We never got Dutch back, right? We never got Dutch. I don't think we're going to get Dutch ever.
That's not critical. It would be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, give me Lamar.
Yep.
Revenge of the Nerds.
Yes.
I know. Reference there. But yes, I love this point, and it easily could have been the number 1 point for me.
Yeah, I think so. I agree. I think this is a huge one. In fact, yeah, I might even...
Let's reorder these.
I was just thinking
Angel.
that. I might want this as number 1.
But we're sticking to the script here,
Okay.
Sal. Top 3.
Number 3. Cobra Kai had a clear story to tell rather than beating a dead horse. So
Well,
yeah,
there's an old saying.
not just
We don't say much.
not a very popular saying. Also, more than one way to skin a cat is also an old horrible saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, a clear story to tell, not beating a dead horse, meaning not try to just reiterate a point over and over, but taking a whole new direction and going into avenues and arenas which we never would have had suspected if you were just trying to stay in that Miyagi-verse specific.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm sure they were pitched things for years. Okay, Daniel's growing up. He's taking on the Miyagi role. And yeah, that has happened, but it wasn't the first thing. It didn't happen right away. There was a lot of reluctancy, and there's a world around it now. There's like an ethos. It's not just that. Yeah, we care about all these other characters that only really talented showrunners could do. Come up with, get everybody on board, and biggest point of all, execute on it. It's flawless execution. And so, yeah, they had a clear story. This is the only reason why they got, the rights, because Will Smith owns some of it. There's a Weintraub estate, and you had to get Daniel on board and Johnny, but really, you had to get Ralphmacchio. He is the Karate Kid, and he liked their idea, but he was pitched things for decades.
I would imagine so.
I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
So they definitely had a clear story.
Well, Jason, when you and I have gone down these rabbit holes of what kind of went on between the Karate Kid motion pictures and Cobra Kai, what went down, things like How I Met Your Mother and all that. I told you early on, it appeared to me that Ralph Macchio was a little more reluctant to walk around as Daniellarusso than than Zabka to walk around as Lawrence.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, Lawrence definitely was typecast, but LaRusso, Sal, think about it. His whole career, and he's incredibly talented. But, hey, Karate Kid, hey, Karate Kid, hey, Karate. I mean, at some point, you're just like, I can never do this again.
Imagine
as much as it helped you.
He's probably walking around. He's probably, all these years, Ralph Macchio, like walking through the mall, and people start doing the crane in front of him, I bet you.
Yeah. In fact, I bet you he's not called the Karate Kid as much now as Mr. LaRusso.
Oh, that's right.
It's pivoted. It's pivoted for the younger generation.
Well, one day there will be a LaRusso-verse.
Oh, my gosh. Bringing it all the way around.
Miyagi-verse. Maybe Lawrence-verse.
So, that's
LaRusso-verse.
That's deep. I got to think about that. Okay, number 2, Sal. Cobra Kai didn't shy away from tasteful retcons.
Yeah, here's the word.
Now, that's a new hip word that we're all saying, not me. Retroactive continuity. Okay, all right, I get it. I like it. And it didn't shy away from that. And I think I even spoke to some of that earlier, that's why I think it's kind of a similar point. But much like Sid, Johnny's father, we didn't know his backstory. Well, not his, being Johnny's. We assume silver spoon, Hang on, let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Speaking of a great show from the 80s, that's Sister Quickens. I already have that. Ricky Schroeder at his finest. But yes, we assumed that's who he was. Okay. Now, if you go back and watch The Karate Kid, and I highly recommend it, you do see Johnny speaking to his father, right? Or you kind of see who his father is, who's not Sid at the country club. There's a scene, all of them are dancing and such. So you kind of like, oh, we don't know who he was, but maybe he was supposed to be Sid, younger Sid. Okay, I get it, yeah. And then we bring in Ed Asner as Sid, who's fantastic, rest in peace, Ed Asner. But it's those types of things. It's a classy way to go back. And you could call it revisionist history, but it's not.
I was going to ask
that. It's like, hey, how do we?
It's different.
How do we tell this story? It's different. It's not like I never did that. This is not my recollection's very. No, it's not that. Now that does happen sometimes in these types of shows and movies, but it didn't do that. It went back and did it a favor. It went back and fixed the flaws with Allie's character. She went off with some college kid from UCLA. That wrecked the car and that was it. No, we went back and we got it right. That's what I would call a retcon, and they did it beautifully. Look, talk about resurrection, Chosen. another guy we absolutely hated. And then you get more understanding of him and the pressure that he had. It's like, this show just gets all those things right, Sal.
And that's why we need to see Julie Pierce, because we'll be able to
Yes.
hear more of her story. The next Karate Kid will come to more life, just like Karate Kid 3 came to greater life.
That's right. Now, that's where the movies and the franchise jumped the shark. No doubt about it. The next Karate Kid. But, yes, getting Julie's character out of it. She's fantastic in it. 2-time Oscar-winning actress. And so bring her and Hilary Swank to the series. I totally agree. And then we can make more fun and bring that fourth movie into the base camp. Hey, it's okay to talk about that. And Miyagi's last time as Miyagi. So, yeah, I love that. Absolutely. Okay, Sal. All right, Sal, that leads us to the big finish here. Please go ahead.
Drum roll. Number 1. Cobra Kai poked fun at obsessive nostalgia. Obsessive nostalgia. Because I've been saying,
such a thing?
Well,
yeah.
Jason, I've been saying recently, nostalgia is a hell of a drug. Yeah, the story starts in the 80s, but we're not living in the 80s, that's for sure. Johnny was sort of in a time warp, but even
he is.
presently, he's not back in the 80s anymore. He's up to date. He's online now, using the web, using the interwebs. So, yeah, I would almost say that Cobra Kai is not so nostalgic right now.
No, but I do say that Johnny is like the Encino Man, which is not too far from where he lives in Reseda. But it's true. I think they easily, again, back to the showrunners and everyone involved, easily could have been overly reliant on nostalgia and just played it to death. We talked about a little bit of this earlier. Some of these points are similar to each other, but they didn't do that. It's there because these guys are from that era, much like you and I, and we reference things all the time, but we're not stuck there. We're moving forward. In fact, I love that nostalgia brought these two guys together, these two guys being Johnny and Daniel. That one episode where they're driving around in the car and they like the same music, and then they go to the South Seas apartment, they have drinks, but it's that bond of that era that they were both a part of. Yeah. And it doesn't overdo it. Yeah, if every freaking scene's like, hey, do you have that on Laserdisc? It's just like, oh my God, we would just be bored. We would become desensitized to it. And we're not. In fact, I love when Miguel is learning music from Johnny, which is very true. I was always learning my parents' music, and he's doing deep dives online and doing rabbit holes about music he doesn't know anything about from the 80s and has an appreciation for it. So, yeah, they do it right, but they don't overdo it. The writer's room probably has to pull back, okay? 3 less nostalgic jokes and no more references over there. They probably just tone it just that right balance. They're so good at it.
I almost feel like we spend more time in Vietnam than we do in Reseda 1984.
Right. Yeah, it's so there you go. The magic. And that's it. Top 10 list, David Letterman style. Yeah. But it's spot on. I read this thing. I was like, oh, Sal, we got to come on and talk about this. These are points that we would make. We can give a shout out to Screen Rant. They're keeping the drum pounding for the show as we are, keeping the lights on. Heck, we'll still do episodes even if they hold off longer on the 6th season of Cobra Kai. But this was a lot of fun.
Jason, I almost got a little teary-eyed because as I read this article, or from the first time I read it, I'm almost thinking, I think Angel is indeed a Cobra Kai fan, an actual Cobra Kai fan writing articles.
Yes.
Very exciting.
That's true. And not AI.
Not AI. Thank you, Angel.
Well, that's all I have, Sal. What a great journey. We've taught ourselves and others 10 lessons from Cobra Kai. So we're all better for it.
I'm a better person, I feel.
So thank you so much for listening, and please be sure to subscribe to the Let's Talk Cobra Kai podcast and the Let's Talk Cobra Kai YouTube channel. You can also really help us by giving this show a 5-star rating on Apple Podcast.
And for all you listeners that enjoy sharing your thoughts, you could leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, send us a direct message, or post a comment on any Let's Talk Cobra Kai social media platform.
We also highly recommend checking out our other podcast and visiting, wait for it, justcuriousmedia.com.
No mercy.